Good morning. We are live from City Hall River Valley Room.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Colleagues, committee members, is everyone signed into eScribe? Good. All right, I would like to call this meeting to order. And at this time, I would like to acknowledge that we meet on the traditional land of Treaty 6 territory and acknowledge the diverse indigenous peoples whose ancestors' footsteps have marked this territory for centuries, such as Cree, Dene, Saulteaux, Blackfoot, Nkorasu, as well as Métis and Inuit, and now settlers from around the world. I will do a roll call of committee members. Councillor Stevenson.
Good morning.
Councillor Knack.
Good morning.
Councillor Rice.
Good morning.
Councillor Rutherford.
Good morning.
And I'll see if other council members are joining. Councillor Salvador is here.
Good morning.
Councillor Wright is here.
Good morning.
Councillor Principe, you're there?
Good morning.
Councillor Tang?
Good morning.
Councillor Jans? All right, that's all. If I missed
Good
anyone?
morning, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, Councillor Paquette, you're there. I don't see your name here. So any other council colleagues joining us, please just let us know if I missed anyone. Okay. Adoption of the agenda. Councillor Rice, you want to do that?
So I move that the June 29, 2022 Executive Committee meeting agenda be adopted.
Thank you, Councillor Rice. Please vote for the adoption of the agenda. Oh. Can you send me the vote, please? I'm not getting it.
Yes, we'll mark you.
For some
We have all the
reason-
votes.
Yeah, display the votes, please. That is carried. Approval of the minutes. Councillor Stevenson, you want to do that?
Sure, happy to move the minutes for the June 15th, 2022 Executive Committee meeting.
Okay. Please vote. He's here. My system is not working for some reason.
One moment, we'll get that fixed. Can we mark you down?
Yeah, please, yes, yeah.
We have all the votes.
Display the votes, please. That is carried. Protocol items, colleagues? Any protocol items? Seeing none. Items select for debate. Who would like to go first? Councillor Rice?
So just want to confirm with Madam Clerk, and 6.1 and to 6.13 and deal with together, right?
Yeah.
That's correct, Councillor.
And so I will pick them.
Select all
Yeah,
of them? Okay.
select all of them, and for the questions. And also another two items I would like to select is 6.15 and 6.21. That's from me.
6.21?
Yeah,
Okay.
21 and 15.
Okay, thank you,
Thank
Councillor
you.
Rice. Councillor Rutherford?
Hi, I would like to select 620
620.
and 9.1, please.
9.1. Thank you, Councillor Rutherford. Councillor Stevenson?
Yeah, I just have 614 left, please. Oh, and I do see that we have speakers. Would you like me to select the items with speakers?
Yeah.
Great, so 614, 616, 617, 618, and 622.
618 and 622. Okay. Thank you, Councillor Stevenson. All right. Gotta go? Yeah, okay. All right. Can we vote? Can someone move the remaining items? There's only one, right? Yeah, Councillor Rice, thank you. Please vote.
Yeah.
Please vote on the remaining items.
We have all the votes.
Display the votes, please. That is carried. Madam Clerk, can you read us back what we have approved?
Yes, so the June 29th, 2022 Executive Committee has approved the following. Under Requests to Reschedule Reports, 5.1, Ride Transit and Leisure Access Programs, revised due date October 26, 2022. Item 5.2, Advisory Committees of Council, Policy Review, revised due date fourth quarter 2022. Item 5.3, Ward Boundary Policy Review, revised due date fourth quarter 2022. And under Public Reports, item 6.19, Fiber Optic Exchange Agreement, Agreement Extension Approval.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Clerk. A request to speak. We have a number of speakers on different items. Councillor Stevenson, you have the list? Or?
Yes, thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah.
So I'll move that on item 614, we hear from Sean Collins, Green Energy Transition. He may not be online yet, as I think it's a time specific at 1:30. 616, I have Sherry Klassen. I think I see you there. Good morning. Brent Oliver. I don't. Sorry, if you could identify. Oh, there you are. Hello. Online. And Tyson Boyd. Are you with us online or in person? Okay, for item 617, I have Terry Parker, Building Trades of Alberta. George Emery, Operatives, Plasterers and Cement Masons International Association. Inder Singh.
He's online.
Online?
Yeah.
Great. 618, Rocky Sinclair from Axis. Lyle Daniels, Building Trades of Alberta. Rob Calver, Building Trades of Alberta. And Karen Bruno from End Poverty Edmonton. For 620, I have Brent Abbott, Robert Hobson, Ryan Lee, and David Ridley. And for 622, I have Susanna Cameron from End Poverty Edmonton.
Okay.
And
Thank
I
you.
will move that we hear from all of these speakers.
Please vote to hear from members of the public.
We're waiting on one vote. We have all the votes.
Display the votes, please. That is carried. A request for specific time on the agenda other than what has been already approved? None, right?
That's right.
Good, thank you. Any councillor inquiries? See none. Reports to be dealt with at a different time? None.
We do have items.
Yeah, 4.1, right? So that needs to be moved. Dealt.
No, it's just for information.
Just information, okay.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Okay. Our first item on the agenda is, items are 6.1 to 613. These are the BIA reports, and they are all cross-referenced. And we directly go to the folks from BIAs.
I was going to start with a few opening
have-
comments, Mr. Mayor, and
Go
then
ahead,
the
yeah.
BIAs have a presentation to share as well. So good morning, I'm Stephanie McCabe. I'm the Deputy City Manager of Urban Planning and Economy. Today we have Sherry Klassen, the Chair of the Edmonton Business Improvement Area Council and the Executive Director of the Old Strathcona Business Association. And the BIA Council Vice Chairs Luann, Kifla, Miriam, and Todd James, who will be presenting on behalf of the BIA Council. With them are many of the executive directors from the other BIA associations in Edmonton, and a few of the members of their boards of directors are also available to answer questions. As in previous years, the BIAs have agreed to collectively present to committee, and we're grateful for their willingness to participate in this way. Edmonton has 13 BIAs, representing close to 5,000 businesses in Edmonton. And the BIAs bring many benefits to our community. They help achieve the city plan, and they also help achieve our economic action plan. Business improvement areas are associations of business within a specified geographic area who join together to promote the economic, community, and destination development of their area through various marketing, beautification, safety, and advocacy initiatives, and many other things which you'll hear about today. BIAs are created through the grassroots organizations of the businesses in a community of a specific area. Neither council or administration direct or initiate the creation of a BIA. Administration supports the business community through advice and access to information, such as explaining the process. Then, with sufficient buy-in and commitment from local businesses and the support of the specific municipality, BIAs are enacted through specific legislation. Once formed, BIAs are governed through a volunteer board of directors nominated and voted by area business owners or managers. BIAs respond to the member needs and to the current economic and social conditions in our city, and members benefit by being actively involved in the association's decision-making and business planning. BIA associations in Edmonton are funded by a business member paid, but city collected through the BIA levy. This levy is based on the assessed value of the businesses and the board-approved budgets of the association. These budgets, as today, are then reviewed by City Council for oversight and accountability and process compliance through the annual report and audited financial statements before you today for information. Because of their importance, the City also supports BIAs with City of Edmonton staff resources to help with governance, connection to resources, BIA infrastructure, maintenance support, to name a few. And that really represents how we collectively work together and why we're here together as a joint delegation here today. Over the last 2 years, during the COVID-19 pandemic, administration and City Council offered additional financial supports in the form of funding 100% of the BIA members and levies in 2021 and 50% of the levies in 2022. COVID has and continues to have a heavy impact on Edmonton businesses, on some Edmonton businesses, and our BIAs have been really pivotal in helping our main streets recover from their efforts, and I thank each of the executive directors here for their effort in this space. In addition, the BIAs this year have included an attachment that outlines their environmental, social, and governance, also known as ESG outcomes. I just think this is such an important story to tell about how our BIAs help collectively achieve our community and city goals. So before giving Cherie and the BIA Council the floor, I'd just like to say thank you for all of the work that the 13 BIA executive directors do, and we look to continue to collectively work together and thank their boards to contribute to our great city. Over to you.
All right, and thank you for being here, everyone. Nice to see you all. Go ahead.
Thank you. Nice to be here. So good morning, Council. As you know, my name is Cherie Clausen. I've had the pleasure of chairing our BIA Council for the last several years, and I'm also the Executive Director with the Old Strathcona Business Association. We felt since this was the first time all 13 of us, or nearly all 13 of us, are in front of this council to report on our last year's activities, we wanted to provide a little more context about who we are, what we do, and why we're a valuable partner. As Stephanie said, we represent nearly 5,000 bricks and mortar businesses, which is more than pretty much any other economic development organization in the city. And to provide some context of the history of BIAs, over 50 years ago, out of necessity, the first BIA was born in Toronto. The downtown and Main Street districts were seeing economic decline as customers were leaving main streets to shop at malls. Businesses came together collectively, working to create business improvement areas, which would focus on revitalizations of their districts and had impacts way beyond just the businesses. Our role is in city building, and just like municipal government, but since we're member funded, we do this work with our members' funds, not city tax dollars. We are governed under the MGA and created by city bylaws as an arm's length committee of council. We are independent not-profits, and we work closely with city administration to support the goals of the city and city plan. We aren't your typical business associations. Many people who don't know who we are and what we do confuse us to be chamber-like advocacy groups. While we do advocate for our members, we do more than that. We live in the intersection of economic development, community economic development, and tourism. Everything we do supports revitalizations of our neighborhoods that we intersect, the businesses, landowners, residents, and visitors to the city. Without us, We feel the city would be hard-pressed to accomplish district revitalization with the funds we collectively gather, which is approximately $3.3 million. Because we work with very limited resources in budget and staffing, we have to wear many hats and be able to work on very diverse, varied projects. Many of our budgets are as small as $80,000 a year, and our largest is just over $1 million. Most of our BIAs only have one staff member who work part-time, while others have up to 6. We are small but mighty organizations, many of which are small independent operators who put their heart and soul into their businesses, which is led by volunteer board of directors, sorry. We're passionate about our communities and we know them inside and out because we work in them, we walk them, we talk to residents, we talk to business owners in them. We can tell you where every pothole is and every fresh coat of paint is applied to our buildings and our districts. No other organization does this work and has intimate knowledge of our neighborhoods. The work we do is vital to building our city to 2 million people. BIAs are not lobbyists. We are in the business of placemaking, land use, beautification, and creating tourism destination hubs, as well as improving the quality of life in residents who live in and around our districts. We are similar to how the city operates, with City Council representing its constituents and administration executing the goals of City Council. We are intimately knowledgeable of our municipal government, how it operates, and how to navigate policy. We also just know how to get stuff done with limited resources. Each of the 13 of us are incredibly unique, and you will not find one BIA like another, or have the needs and the wants of another. This is because we are geographically based, much like community leagues, and the work we do is custom to the neighborhoods that we exist in. Today, we'll be highlighting some of the projects we undertook in 2021, as well as some of our key priorities and challenges, and how we can work collaboratively to make our city and communities a better place to live, work, and play. So I want to pass it on now to my colleague, Luam Kiflemarian. She's with the 124th Street Business Association, and I'm super thankful that I now have 2 vice chairs as part of our BIA Council. Luam.
Thank you. I'm the one that will need somebody to move the slides. Thank you. Thank you, Sherry, and thank you to the committee for the opportunity to be here. My name is Luam Kiflemariam, Vice Chair of the BIA Council and Executive Director for the 124th Street and Area BIA. I'm here to share some of the important and tangible work that BIAs have been able to accomplish with funding received from federal, provincial, municipal grants, nonprofits, as well as private businesses. I'm going to start with a snapshot of a project in the Old Strathcona BIA last year. The BIA was able to expand the sidewalks on 82nd Ave and have seating and add seating to areas that lacked it. Due to this pilot project, they have been awarded a federal grant to install permanent street furniture in the district. Next slide. The downtown BIA helped make Route 107 Park installation happen last year, and this year we had Downtown Spark, creating a tourism attraction / destination for all Edmontonians and visitors alike. Next slide. This is just Symphony on 124th Street. Next slide. Trying to be respectful of time here. Festivals, winter festivals like Winter White Light Up in Old Strathcona and on 124th Street. The All Is Bright Festival were created by the BIA to attract people to the districts and also beautify and enhance public spaces. Both winter festivals, which is in line with Edmonton being a winter city, are funded by BIA's private organizations and grants. Next. Last year was another winter event created by the Kingsway BIA. The holiday parade kicked off the Christmas holiday in Kingsway and was an event that welcomed everyone in the city. It was funded by the BIA and private organizations. Next. You'll see flowers on most of our BIAs that we pay with our own budget. This is an example from the French Quarter and Area BIA, as well as the Mill Creek Bridge with the flags displaying countries associated with the International Francophone Organization, also funded and looked after the French Quarter's BIA. Lastly, the Beverly BIA with their small fund funding their streetscape through flags and unique signage. Many of the BIAs have projects investing in public infrastructure for public good with funding from other levels of government, and it's important that we have a clear and efficient and cost-effective processes to get the projects done. The BIAs are an asset to city building, and they play a vital role in community economic development in Edmonton. Thank you.
Good morning, committee. Thank you, Luam and Cherie. I'm Todd Janes, and I'm the Executive Director of the Stony Plain Road BIA and the Vice Chair of the BIA Council. Over a year ago, our BIA Council met with then newly hired City Manager Andre Corbold and talked about several larger concerns that our collective BIAs experienced. After this meeting, we sent a detailed strategic priority list to Mr. Corbold, outlining what we have been collectively working on to address these systemic issues and the overarching concerns of the infrastructure deficit throughout Edmonton. These priorities included creating cleaner, more attractive, and well-maintained streets, addressing safety-related issues in our districts, and finally, a request for an investment in BIA businesses by offsetting 50% of our business levies, which this council supported in this budget year. Thank you very much. We would like to thank the city manager and the various branches that work with our BIA council to help build a better city. While there is still a number of problems to address as we continue to emerge from the pandemic, progress is happening. Throughout BIAs, we are here to develop communities and to create spaces for all Edmontonians and our visitors to gather and explore the spirit of what it means to be Edmonton as we begin to build towards the vision set out within City Plan. Many of the supports that the City of Edmonton invests in our city also supports the walkability, cleanliness, and safety of all Edmontonians, and this is true within our main streets and business improvement areas. And we are eager and supportive of the city in all of these programs. This partnership allows Main Streets to amplify the good work of the municipality, and we want to acknowledge the openness of the branches of the city that we work with, including city operations, urban planning and economy, and also the increasing work within community services as we partner with governments and industries to advocate and work towards practical solutions to issues of houselessness and the opioid epidemic. That was a bit of a tongue twister. And while still supporting our local businesses and marketing in our area main streets. Much of this collective work is amplified when we partner to find practical and impactful solutions to issues and to recognize how we can build a stronger, more inclusive, and prosperous city within a strong economic lens. Over the last 3 years, we have collectively advocated to other levels of government for additional supports related to housing and homelessness, and most recently also aligned with the mayor's request to the province for more support to address our growing needs in safety, wellness, and the opioid crisis. I did better that time. We continue to be an ally, and we know we have more impact when we work collectively with the city and urban municipalities. Finally, I would also like to invite all of you to come and take a tour of our BIAs. You can experience them on site and in person, and we can showcase projects we are working on. We'd be happy to host you. Many of our fellow colleagues are also here today to answer your questions, and we really look forward to a robust dialogue and continued partnership moving forward. Thank you.
So that concludes the presentation? Good. Stephanie, you have any conclusion? Good. All right, thank you so much, and we'll go to committee members for questions. But I want to thank you as well for working with us on some of the advocacy efforts, because those issues that you identify directly impact the businesses that you represent. And the more we can work together on our engagement with the province and the federal government is always helpful. So thank you so much to you, and also to Downtown Business Association as well for their work on that. So Councillor Rice, you exempted this item, and I'll go to you first.
Thank you, Ms. Chair, and thank you everybody here taking time to speak to us. As you can see, the items I picked today is all about the business. Because I strongly believe the business is a fundamental factor and for our city's economic development and recovery. And without support the business, and we cannot imagine how our city's economy and after COVID pandemic can be recovered. So I want to say 2 points before my questions. The first point, I did read all 13 annual reports and also audited financial statements. I was so impressed by how much work, even in the past 2 years, and then we were going through the difficult time, and then due to the COVID-19, and then so impressed for the work all the BIAs have been done. The second point, I may have lots of questions today and regarding the reporting and also regarding financial statement. And then, but
Sorry, Councillor Rutherford, sorry. I heard somebody point of view.
I called a point of order. Is Councillor Rice speaking to this, or is this questions?
just for the opening
we have
for
the time
the
to speak to the item.
yes,
Yeah.
opening for the questions.
Yeah, so Councillor Rice, will
Yes,
be nice to focus on
I
questions. Go
I
ahead.
do have the content opening and for me to ask the questions.
Go ahead, Councillor Rice. Ask
And
questions.
I haven't finished the second point yet. Second point is about by reading
Sorry, again,
by
point of
reading the
privilege
financial
or point
yeah.
of-
I'm just going to be, I'm just going to explain the process a bit here.
This is
Councillor-
my
I'll
time.
stop your time, Councillor Rice.
Okay.
I will stop your time. I think it'll be beneficial to all of us that we focus on questions, and when we speak at the conclusion of the reports we discussed, at that time we frame our values and points, why we are supporting this and why this work is important to us. I think that's the process. Madam Clerk, am I right in that?
The use of the 5 minutes is up to council's will. So you can use your 5 minutes to speak and ask questions.
Okay, should we speak at the conclusion of the report, or should we
That
do
is
whatever we want to do with
that
our
is
5
at
minutes?
council's determination. In terms of our procedures and bylaw, it's to speak and to ask questions. There's no. The determination
bylaw-
of what that includes would be up to the chair and to council in terms of how you want to
Yeah.
progress through the meeting.
Point of clarity, the bylaw states that you can only speak to an item once. And what I'm seeing a tendency is to speak to an item twice.
Yeah. Okay, so I think that's the discipline we would have to follow, that if we are stating our values, then that's speaking. And if we are asking questions, then we focus on questions, then we please do not do that twice. So Councillor Rice, I'll come back to you. Go ahead. And
okay.
I'll start your time at 2:50.
Thank you, Ms. Chair, and also thank you for the point of that. But I do want to say I would disagree with that because my content is open content for my questions. And then I have many questions, I said, but my question's intention is to get how we can work together and how to understand the challenge and concerns you have, and then to move forward and to get our cities better. So right now, I addressed 2 points. I'm going to my first question. So in terms of financial challenges, I noticed lots of deficit, and over 50% of BIAs have deficits. I'm worried about that, how you can run and to get enough support with those deficits. What's the funding resources to cover those deficits?
Well, I can speak to the Old Strathcona Business Association's perceived deficit. So sometimes on our financial statements, when it shows we have a deficit, Our budgets don't actually show anything other than our operating budgets. So if we have reserves or money in savings, which any good business will have some money in our reserves and savings for a raining day, or we get unexpected grants, which certainly in the last couple of years, many of us have been very fortunate to receive some COVID-related economic recovery grants. In the Old Strathcona Business Associations, that's exactly what our deficit was, is because we pulled money from our reserves. And so it shows our actual operating budget that we originally planned for at the beginning of the year wasn't what it ended up being. So I can speak to that's what my own financial deficits were. I would gather that maybe some others are showing similar things, but that's a pretty common situation for most of us because our budgets change throughout the year, as do every businesses. So does that help answer, at least for my own?
Yeah, I think that's helpful. And then I just want to figure out and the investors' deficit, how that could be from different angle to support that. And then my next question to an administration, and specifically in the past 2 years or past year, and then what's the total and funding support and from our city and to 13 BIAs?
We support the BIAs in a number of ways. First, we've got dedicated resources in both urban planning and economy and in city operations, as well as we have resources in our taxation group to be able to administer the program. I probably have somebody online have the exact number of the tune of support. I believe it's in the range of, Craig, go ahead, Craig. You're on mute, though.
I can come back the second round, and you're looking for that information.
We'll come back for the answer later on, Councillor Rice. I will humbly request each and every one of us to, we have a big agenda to get through, that we remain focused on questions focused on the reports, and when we speak at the conclusion, we can make our statements at that time. Councillor Stevenson.
Yes, thank you. Thank you all so much for the presentation. I think the work that we're doing right now is really building on our strength, but just wondering, when you hear from your colleagues in other cities, what do we sort of shine at, and what do we see them doing that we want to emulate? Are there some examples of what we can learn from in other places?
Sure, I can jump in on that. I'm sure lots of us have a lot to say to that. I think something that we've all learned collectively, many of us went to a BIABC conference recently, and what we've really learned as BIAs during COVID is a sense of place, which is actually the roots of what we do, is become even more prevalent. Placemaking, making our exterior spaces and parks and public areas really vibrant to encourage people to come, because during the pandemic, when they couldn't go indoors, they had to be outdoors. So things like patio expansions, taking over pieces of roadway. We saw in different cities, some people shut down entire streets and made them giant plazas. I think those are things that we advocated for. A lot of us did pop-up kind of parks and pop-up placemaking. In Old Strathcona, we did, enhanced sort of a sidewalk space. And we really advocated for patio permitting to be free and be able to do a little larger expansion, because many of the businesses, when they couldn't have people dining inside, the only place they could have them dine was outside. So we wanted to increase their capacity. In terms of what we saw in other cities, we always look longingly at other cities that have, their BIAs may have bigger budgets, but I think just being innovative, that was stuff that, a few of us longed at shutting down our entire streets to be able to have patios and plazas. But I think that those were some of the things that we really saw shine.
Great. Well, and I think I've heard sort of some of the models in other cities in terms of the levy being applied to both landlords and businesses, and that having a really big impact on budgets, and also just that buy-in. So that's certainly something I think we as council can continue to help to advocate on, and with our intergovernmental what are you finding, what support from the city do you find really helps your work? And then what did the city maybe hinders your work so that we know where we can improve as well?
Thanks for the question. I think we only need to look at this year and some really innovative partnerships that are happening. And I'd like to highlight two. The first of which, last year, the City of Edmonton did a really inexpensive pilot project. And they converted fire hydrants into drinking fountains. It didn't take much money. It was incredibly innovative. And last summer, during the heat wave, I think that saved people's lives. Imagine that, a little bit of money, a quick pivot, and it saved people's lives. I think when we looked at the beginning of the pandemic 2 years ago, and the work that was done on temporary patios and pop-ups was really great. It allowed the city to be innovative, and now we expect that all the time. I think the third thing is this year, Capital City Cleanup, which has been a great partner in BIA's, has created a grant program that awards $25,000 to each BIA to engage in social enterprise groups to help create cleaner, more attractive spaces. And I think that's the type of innovation that we're looking for, because it partners agencies and utilizing a social enterprise model. So a lot of the people that don't perhaps have great public opinions are seen as people contributing in a really meaningful way to our city. And I hope that that's something that council looks at.
Yeah. Thank you. And I'm so sorry, I'm just mindful of my time, but I think that's great feedback in terms of us carrying forward that really radical responsiveness that we had during the pandemic, and I think something that council would want to support, to continue to support, to see in terms of your relationship with the city. And I really apologize, I need to be in two places at once today, so I'm going to speak very briefly just to say that I'm honored to be host to 5.5 of the BIAs in my area. You add so much to our communities. I know how hard you all work and your boards work. So thank you so much for the contributions you make.
Thank you, Councillor Stevenson. And double duty today, so yeah, with single pay, right? So I just want to follow up on Councillor Stevenson's, and this is to Ms. McCabe. So how do we build on those innovations that we were able to create ways of looking at things? Because we are hearing some kind of going back to the pre-pandemic way of doing things, right? So on patios and other areas, right? So I just want to get a sense from you, how do we build on that?
I think we continue to build on it by enabling our staff to continue to have that culture of being really responsive to the needs of businesses and to BIAs and continuing to work with them. So it's definitely a message that I know myself and Mr. Sibrick Gord will take back to our teams to continue to be responsive, and for us as leaders to continue to let them know that we've enabled them to take the risk. That they have the support of the executive leadership team to continue to find innovative ways to take the risk, and that this council also supports them taking risks to support businesses.
That's good. I think wait, somebody's, please everyone stay muted. There you go. Thank you for that, because and this is not about picking favors or anything, right? But I just want to state the obvious. We hear a lot of good stuff about your department, right? The work you're in, the engagement you're doing. But we do hear some concerns about other areas not being as forthcoming or as innovative and creative, and they're more process-oriented in a way that they follow strictly check-marking things, right? So I think that is in an area that I heard from business leaders in BIAs. So again, going back and revisiting and instilling that flexibility in helping.
Absolutely, I'll bring that back to the executive leadership team table and make sure that Mr. Corbold and Andre, our city manager, is aware of that as well.
Yeah, please. Yeah, and this is just a feedback that I'm sharing with you with full respect for everyone who works for the city, and they help a lot, right? And so this is not a criticism, just a feedback that I'm sharing with you. Another thing that we heard is support that is necessary, the impact of disorder in certain areas. We went a tour for 107th Avenue, BIA. How do we support businesses where they experience damage to their property that is directly caused by the disorder they have no control over, right? Is there a way, any ideas around how that support can be provided?
We're open to exploring that with the BIA councils and understanding that. It has come to my attention that a number of businesses either can't, the deductible is very large on the insurance for things like broken windows, or they can only tap into the insurance once. So it's an issue that's top of mind right now, and be happy to work with the BIA councils on it.
That's good. I think our administration really stepped up to intervene in supporting the Chinatown BIA and businesses, and I think that kind of nimbleness and quick, rapid response is absolutely necessary. Because another thing we heard is that not just the broken windows and the damage to properties, and also the unsightliness caused by disorder. So more regular cleaning of the streets and sidewalks and alleys, right? So
I'd be happy to, myself or whoever the right representative is, to attend the next BIA council meeting and explore this. I know the Community Safety and Wellbeing Initiative is also working on this as well. Obviously, with any of this, there might be a resource ask that we might have to return to council with it for enhanced cleaning, enhanced staff in this area, but happy to explore it further, Mr. Mayor.
Good. All right. Thank you for that. Councillor Knack?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thanks everyone for joining today. Sorry I can't be there in person. I'm holed up in a very tiny room in my home as I'm isolating with COVID. So the one question I have left is there has been a lot more talk recently in a number of the BIAs around different infrastructure upgrades. So as we're planning to reconstruct roads, I think the question I'm curious about is have we had any conversations with the teams that are going to be doing that work around how we truly redesign these main streets to become main streets? And I recognize that each BIA might have a different opinion on what that is. But with work happening in the Chinatown BIA, which we've discussed very recently, but I think White Ave's having conversations. We're going to be doing work on Stony Plain Road with the LRT. We may need to treat these differently than we would, say, a standard arterial road construction. So any thoughts on how we make sure we're doing that correctly so we don't miss out on these opportunities?
Thank you, Councillor Knack. I would love to speak to that.
I thought you might.
Yes, I can speak to Old Strathcona for sure. As you may recall, in 2019, we advocated for the neighborhood renewal bylaw to be changed so that BIAs were included in that, because we were actually left out of neighborhood renewals. So while our residential streets were all getting upgrades and sidewalks, our main streets were left. So we've been expedited to have all of our BIA main streets completely renewed by the end of 2030. In Old Strathcona, we're doing a public realm strategy and mass transit study, just starting that engagement. And I would say for sure, our main streets need to be treated differently than any other road. Again, we're all very unique, so I think each one of us will want to be treated a little bit differently. Certainly on White Avenue, we really want a priority to be on walkability and focusing on that experience and safety and walkability, while some other areas might have different needs. So absolutely, I think we should be recognizing being treated differently, and that's a role that we'll play to advocate for that when we're doing those consultations. Does that answer your question?
Yes, yeah. I just wanted to make sure that there was that out, because and taking that particular BIA in White Ave, I know there's going to be some tension between making it a truly walkable road and also recognizing that it's a commuter road. But what do we prioritize? And I just want to make sure that we've set up a process to truly take into account some of the unique characteristics of each BIA when we're making those decisions, and that we're not potentially missing out because, oh, this is an arterial road and therefore we can only treat it in this one specific way.
Councillor Knack, I know for sure in integrated infrastructure services that they are doing context-sensitive design work in terms of making sure that we honor the differences and the importance of our main streets, but I'll also make sure to pass that feedback on to Mr. Laughlin.
Excellent.
I'm on the call, and Councillor Knack, we absolutely do that. The Main Streets guideline, part of Complete Streets, is something that guides our approach. We're actively working on 124th Street, and the renewal is considering that and incorporating that Main Street approach. So the answer is a short yes.
Excellent. Glad to hear. And are we looking at sort of raised pedestrian walkways along some of these main streets too? I know that's a separate conversation for a separate report, but if we're looking at walkability in these things, is that included in this dialogue?
Yeah, that accessibility component is part of Complete Streets and Main Streets. The degree in which we can incorporate zero level crosswalks is sort of condition based in terms of the locations that we're at and the accesses that are in place at along the corridor.
Fair enough. Okay, great. Those are all my questions. Thank you very much, Mayor Sohi.
Thank you, Councillor Knack. Councillor Jans.
I have been notified that Councillor Jans may be having difficulty speaking due to tech issues.
Okay, we'll come back to him then. Councillor Salvador.
Thank you, and thank you so much for being with us today. Thanks to all of our speakers. So a few questions. I think one of the things I find fascinating about BIAs is just the really positive and outsized impact that they have on our local economy. You spoke about the ability to sort of leverage federal, provincial, municipal support, and I'm wondering how can we as a city ensure that we're as agile as possible and able to work alongside you so that you can capitalize on those opportunities. I just want to make sure that we're not missing out on potential support from higher orders of government.
I think, well, any one of us could speak to that, but I'll jump in since I'm one of the BIAs that has received the Canadian Community Revitalization Funding. We're doing a project that's $250,000, and I believe 124th Streets is around the same or a little bit more.
124,000.
And then downtown is around 300,000.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So collectively, between downtown, just ourselves, and 124th Street, that's well over $500,000. I think that'll just speak to a little bit of what Luam brought up of we just really need efficient processes. And I think the part of the piece is because we're public placemaking organizations, building public infrastructure for the public good needs to be treated a little bit differently than other things. I don't know any other organizations besides maybe community leagues that invest in public infrastructure the way we do. So I think just really efficient processes to ensure that we can get those projects complete. We have very tight deadlines with federal dollars, and they have very clear requirements. And so I think just really efficient, clear processes to get to yes as fast as possible is helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for that answer, and I think that's an area for continual improvement. And just so I can get some clarity, you're referring to, I don't know, like things like a parklet, for example, that would be of public benefit. Is that correct?
Yeah, we're building parklets. Parklets, benches, bike racks. 124th Street's doing an amazing lighting project and a little bit of a park enhancement too. And downtown is revitalizing a couple alleyways. Yes, okay, I memorized all of them. So yes, they're going to be huge public benefit.
I think the other part of your question, Councillor Salvador, was around what can the city do. And I think If we look at city plan and if we look at district plan of building those 15 communities, we need spaces for people to gather and celebrate. And there is some inequity when we look at our BIAs in the city. I think what the city could do is invest in building a public realm plan or a public places plan for every single BIA in the city, so that when federal infrastructure dollars, or lo and behold, if the province were to step up, then there would be money there. There would be plans in place where we could activate them in partnership with the city, in partnership with the province, and in partnership federally. And currently we don't have that. Of the 13 BIAs, the majority of those don't have public realm plans or public places plans. So that's something the city could do. That would be a tremendous investment in building out our city and creating celebratory zones throughout all 15 of our districts.
Yeah, absolutely.
Regions, sorry.
Well, thank you so much for that, and it kind of leads into my next question as well, because I was going to ask about the role of BIAs in district planning and in the district planning process. I think that you spoke about kind of the hyper-local expertise and intimate knowledge that BIAs have with our districts, and when I think about the district planning process, I would hope that BIAs are a really central part of that. So maybe to administration, I would assume that's a yes. Could you just speak to the role that BIAs play?
Yes, for sure. BIAs should be involved in the district planning to help define those main streets, define the areas where we need infrastructure improvements. I don't have the exact details on how they're involved today, but I will take that away and make sure that they are involved.
Okay, excellent. And then just finally, with my last 30 seconds here, the role of BIAs as really powerful advocacy partners, especially around some larger challenges that we're facing: houselessness, opioid crisis, community safety and well-being. Just looking for some reflections on that, and I guess the collective impact that we can have when we're sort of speaking with a larger voice as a city.
I think the BIA Council has been a strong advocate for many of the issues that the city, is looking for. I think we all have a vision of creating main streets where every Edmontonian can come, celebrate, and feel safe. And we're not there yet. We're far from it. So it will need a lot of work. I feel that in terms of issues around houselessness and many of the opioid crisis issues, our main streets have been impacted negatively around that. So we're kind of a victim of our own problem, because we're building places where people like to gather, but then the wraparound supports aren't there. So, I mean, I think city has a good plan. I think they're working well to create decentralized, hyper-localized places for people to live with dignity. And anything that we can do as a BIA council to support that work, we're here.
Thank you so much for that. Councillor Wright?
Hi, thank you. So I'm coming around to learn the benefits of BIAs and the contributions to the city. But and later on today, we're going to be looking at support for businesses outside BIAs. But could you maybe help me understand what would be a benefit for areas that don't have a BIA? How would they establish themselves? Because I would like to see more of the, the walkable Main Street communities as well.
That's a great question. We would welcome more BIAs to be formed. We think City Council has a role to play in that, as do we. Many of us have been approached by other cities about how to set up BIAs. There's a legal process to go through to set up a bylaw. I know in the city of Calgary, just prior to the pandemic and during the pandemic, their council and their mayor was actively advocating for BIAs to be set up, and a couple more were. We are economic recovery organizations, so I would suggest that any businesses that are in a geographic area, and I know there are a couple areas in the city that some are considering it, to form together, be a collective voice, so that they can work towards revitalization projects, work collectively to have a voice at council. I think we would absolutely welcome that opportunity. In terms of some of the benefits that we actually have outside of our BIAs. I think a lot of what we did over COVID, we advocated for economic recovery grants that every single small business had access to. We advocate for housing and homelessness issues across the city and safety issues that go well beyond our districts. A lot of the advocacy work that we do that actually impacts policy goes beyond that, I would suggest. And I think there's, same with the patio rules. So when we had the patio rules extended, every single business in the city got that opportunity, not just in BIA. So those are just a handful of examples, if that's helpful.
And the establishment of a BIA, it is more targeted at small business. It's not the big box stores.
The BIAs, originally it was with small individual businesses forming together as a collective to say we want to do something for our area. So if there are groups of businesses, it doesn't, downtown, some of us have larger businesses in our areas, and some malls belong in some of our BIAs, but it's more about the businesses, whether big or small, wanting to come together and say this is something that we want to do, we want to work collectively. So once there is a group of businesses who are interested in forming a BIA, then I believe the local economy would help support them and what next steps looks like in order to become a BIA. But the value is, even Westmount, now the community is, the value of those properties in Westmount is quite, they're quite valuable. It's a beautiful neighborhood. But 20 years ago, when I took the bus to go to my high school, I used to think like, oh, Westmount, when you pass 124th Street, because there are lots of pawn shops, there are lots of payday loans, there are lots of, streetwalkers. It was not a very, like a nice place area, but due to some of the work that the BIAs, the 124th Street BIA has been able to do, not only has the street thrived, but also the neighborhood and the community. So the BIA formation is open to all.
Thank you. Did you, Mr. James, want to add?
Yes, sure. I think each BIA is incredibly unique. Within my BIA, I have local independent businesses, but I also have a section with chain stores. And I think when we look at localized economy, it's also about what is the business mix that works. So there's no requirement that you can't have big stores or anything else. In fact, if you look at how the levy works, if you have a big store, even a supermarket, you probably may pay a higher levy for that. So those bigger box stores help support the BIA in that district marketing. So it's really self-determined. If there's a group of businesses in Southeast Edmonton that are interested in forming, I know local economy is really open to that. It's also about talking to developers, because in many ways, BIAs are malls without walls. We're out, I don't know, come on, that doesn't sound bad. So really it's about localizing that, and I think maybe some more conversations with developers. If we look at Heritage Valley, for example, that has been growing astronomically. And there are businesses there, and new innovative businesses are coming there from America, of all places. So those types of things are important. And as we look at city plan and the district plan, it really helps define those localized regions a lot more. So you have the tools there.
Thank you so much. Councillor Jans, are you there? Not yet? Okay, I'll go to Councillor Rice. Councillor Rice, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I really appreciate this conversation, and it's so important for us to have better understanding supports local economy and by supporting local business. So even though I don't have any BIS in my ward, but I still think this is important for me to have this conversation with you. To administration, did we have that annual financial support from city's number?
We do, Councillor Rice. In terms of staff time, it's in the order of about $1.25 million. We also have 2 grant programs that are specific for BIAs, the storefront improvement, which is $900K a year, and the development incentive grant program, which was $750,000 a year. I will say, I just want to give some of the, in terms of the leverage ratios. For the storefront improvement grant this year, we've had $386,000 allocated, leveraging $493,000 in private sector investment. And for the development incentive grant, we've had 12 grants this year so far for $219,000, leveraging $7.1 million in private investment.
Thank you very much for that detailed breakdown. And then in terms of financial support, and I do believe we have strategic goals alignment requirement, and then from data elements collection, and also from reporting requirements, and also from outcome alignment, because I noticed we have 3 outcomes: environmental outcome, and social outcome, and governance excellence outcome as well. And then I noticed social outcomes, it seems like most achieved, most met, and through this support. And then is there anything you would like to add, and from that business outcomes perspective?
Thanks for the question, Councillor Rice. Council in its wisdom decided to look at a lens of ESGs around that, and it was mid-year for our BIAs. So it was a quick turnaround, and we had a tremendous support from local economies to look at that filter. But that was also halfway through our budget year. We were asked, or we were looking at filters around that, but never had them before. Also, something that is missing is if council really wants to use that lens to evaluate the performance of organizations, then we need some policy around that. Because right now it's just a theme. And if council is clearly serious about creating those measurements and those metrics, there needs to be policy that follows it.
Thank you so much for that answer. Councillor Rutherford.
Hi, I'd just like to move receipt of information.
Okay, then all 13 items can be moved together, right, Madam Clerk?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so we're moving all 13, Councillor Rutherford. Thank you so much
Yes.
for that. So that concludes, any questions, Councillor Rutherford?
No
Good.
questions.
Good. So that concludes the questions on these reports. And we have a motion on the floor to receive for information. Anyone to speak?
I do.
Yeah, just hold on. So please sign up to speak. Councillor Rice to speak.
I just want very quick and speak to this. I was going to move received as information, and from continuous support and continuous improvement perspective, I really want to say, and BIA's work is so important for our city, and I said at the beginning already. I don't want to repeat that. But I do looking forward to the opportunity to have further conversation and also to have tour with you and to look up, to look into, and then you mentioned that policy and how we can ensure the sufficient support in place and also our public accountability to respond to that support, and either from a city government or from like the 3 levels, different orders of government, and how we can collaboratively work together and to really do something to support our local economy by support our business. So I'm really looking forward and for the opportunity, and also to looking forward how our city could find the efficient way, and then from the recovery and relaunch perspective, and then to get our business and back to the normal. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Rice. Councillor Rutherford.
I have to close.
Okay, so I'll go to non-committee members. Council Salvador.
Yep, thank you. So I'll be brief, but I just want to say I'm really pleased to see BIA Council actually presenting alongside administration as a delegation. I think that speaks to the type of collaborative city building relationship that we have and we need to continue to foster. So that's really excellent. And I also just want to thank all of our BIAs for supporting resilience of our local economy, particularly over the last 2 years. You really are integral to our recovery. And your impact, of course, goes beyond just businesses. I think it touches the lives of people who work, live, and spend time in our business districts as well. I was also happy that the conversation touched on city plan today, because I see BIAs as just key partners in helping us achieve the concept of 15-minute communities, supporting vibrant public realms, walkability, livability, cleanliness, and comfort as well. And when I think about how to make Edmonton the most competitive city possible, how we can attract and retain talent, my mind also goes to BIAs and our business districts, because we want to be able to foster really unique experiences. And I think that's something that we can strive at, we can strive towards, and that we've done a really good job of so far. Yeah, and then I also just wanted to touch on this because I thought the tangible examples that were shared in the presentation of things like streetscaping, planters, street furniture, flags, banners, I don't think a lot of Edmontonians realize that that's actually BIAs who are adding that to our communities. So that's something I always try to point out as well. So thank you for bringing that to the fore today. And then finally, as I mentioned, always really impressed with the outsized impact that BIAs have on our local economy. Your ability to leverage dollars from other orders of government, other organizations, and the private sector is really impressive. And I think as a city, we need to continually work towards improving our efficiency and our processes so that we can support you in that endeavor. And yes to the tour. Would definitely encourage council colleagues to do that as well, and I look forward to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Rutherford. Councillor Jans, you can't sign in, right? But you want to speak, right?
Yeah, if I may, that's
Go ahead.
okay.
Yeah. You need a new computer, a laptop.
Yeah, I've got the spinning pinwheel of death right now. So and then the traffic on the bike lanes this morning was out of control. So I apologize, I'm late. First of all, yeah, I just wanted to say that a few weeks ago we had Regina City Council here, and it was a really special opportunity working with many of you to take Regina City Council out and show them Edmonton and show them the work that's being done. And many of the projects that were showcased were actually your work, BIA work, and that's really exciting. So I think it was a reminder that sometimes we have to become tourists again in our own city, and to do these opportunities to explore, as Councillor Rice and others have talked about. I also wanted to thank the BIAs in particular for their support and advocacy around some of the challenging social disorder, crime, and poverty challenges that we've had as a city. I know this is, this is something that comes up every year, and sadly so. But I know sometimes when city councilors or politicians or elected officials are advocating for something, it's not heard the same way as when the BIAs do. And so having your voice, continuing to amplify action on ensuring everybody has a home, ensuring that we can ensure that everybody has a life of dignity and fulfillment, ensuring that we can have a more compassionate, effective response to these challenges that are helping us. I just want to say how far your voice goes on that and how crucial it is to keep writing those letters. It matters so much. So yeah, again, look forward to everything else we're going to do with the streetscape, with active transportation, with our shifts around housing and mobility. I think the public realm strategy in Old Strathcona, for example, is a huge, exciting opportunity that many neighbors have talked to me about at recent events and are excited to get involved in. So again, I just want to say, keep up the great work. We look forward to coming to visit.
Thank you, Councillor Jans. Before I go to Councillor Rutherford, I do want to say a few words. Yeah, I just want to build on what Councillor Jans said, and thank you for those letters. And I was able to actually personally hand deliver those letters to the Premier, right? So I think that goes a long way in helping with tackling those societal issues. When I was a city councillor, I didn't have any BIAs in my ward. But I always appreciated the value that BIAs bring to economic growth. As Councillor Rice, she doesn't have BIAs, but you have a strong support from her. You have a strong support from Councillor Wright, as you heard through questions, and other council members as well. I think that's the commitment of council to continue to support BIAs. Now in this role, in mayor's role, I get to work directly with some of the BIAs, and it's been really, helpful for me to understand or get reinforced what I believed always, that how critical it is to have BIAs from economic growth point of view, placemaking, safety issues that we can tackle together, and really build an Edmonton for all of us. Right? I think that is the role that you're playing. Thank you so much for that, and also want to reinforce what Councillor Salvador said earlier about their collaboration. Yes, there will always be some issues, but as long as you can sit on the table and get them resolved, and that's what we need. And I want to thank our administration for their willingness and ongoing work with BIAs. Right? So I know there are challenges, and I'm pretty sure that through collaboration, those challenges can be dealt with. Yeah, so thank you once again to each and every one of you, all 13 of the BIAs, for all the hard work that you have been doing. Good. And I will go to Councillor Rutherford to close.
Yeah, I think I echo a lot of the same comments that my colleagues have stated today. When I read those 13 reports, it reflected an immense amount of work and value that BIAs are contributing to our city, and in that space of placemaking especially. I think that's a really important thing to highlight, because I think that's what sets BIAs apart from other business organizations, is really that placemaking piece of it. And I've seen so many areas that over my time living in Edmonton have improved significantly, like 124th Street, which is just down the road from where I live. And so just grateful for all your work, grateful for your continued advocacy and collaboration, and grateful for these comprehensive reports, and gladly accept them for information. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Rutherford. So we have a motion on the floor. Please vote.
We have all the votes.
Display the votes, please. That is carried. We got 13 items done in 45 minutes. That's how good we are. Good. Okay. Next, we have 614 is time specific for 1:30, and we'll go to 615, support for small businesses outside of business improvement areas. This was also exempted by Councillor Rice. Is there a presentation from administration? And I'm going to lay out, if you please bear with me for 1 minute, and I'm going to read the rules of the debate. Orders of discussion of agenda items. An item on an agenda will be discussed as follows. A, the chair may request the city manager to provide introductory remarks, which I have just requested. Then we go to approved speakers. They may present. Then councillors may ask relevant questions of the speakers. Councillors may ask the city manager questions or the delegate. Councillors may make any motions necessary to dispose of the item, including motions to amend a motion made. Councillors may ask questions about a motion made. Councillors may speak to a motion made. That is, once a motion is made. The councillor that made the motion may speak to reply prior to the vote being called. and I would encourage everyone to please follow those rules. And I will go to administration for a presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have very short opening comments. The Edmonton Economic Action Plan offers a roadmap to build a vibrant, inclusive, and sustainable economy. An important element of the action plan is business-friendly Edmonton. Business-friendly Edmonton enhances the way the city engages with and supports business of any size or any stage of maturity. And that's because of the importance of businesses to our economy. They enhance Edmonton's vibrancy, tourism, quality of life, and entrepreneurial opportunity. 95% of all businesses in Edmonton are considered small businesses employing 1 to 49 people. Business-friendly Edmonton supports Edmonton businesses and cultivates a culture of business friendliness across the city. It advocates for Edmonton's business community and actively listens to them, consults, and implements their feedback to shape programs and evolving needs of businesses. Today's report highlights much of this work. For example, the one-on-one business support program guides business owners to understand the regulatory journey so they can have a clearer picture of the regulations, timelines, best practices, and costs. Small business owners benefit from having a single point of contact to access resources and support to make the municipal permitting and business license processes easier and more efficient. This program also advocates on behalf of businesses to enhance service levels and improve the client experience by bringing the small business perspective to internal policy conversations. One recent example of this is the business license bylaw renewal work that we're doing, and we're also spending a lot of time listening to businesses through the zoning bylaw renewal project. The support programs are accessible through a dedicated web page, direct email and phone line, as well as an online meeting booking form that provides up-to-date resources and contact information for city programs and businesses. We're new in this process, and we're working on enhancing our communications around this business-friendly Edmonton work that we're doing. We understand the need to make it easy, accessible, and a known resource, and we continue to promote the resource to connect Edmonton businesses to the right solutions. Today's report outlines a number of potential incremental options that could be further enhanced to support specific availability for small businesses in Edmonton. In attachment 2, and this work has been done in collaboration with our community and business development, economic development partners and stakeholders, and we look forward to any questions you may have.
Thank you so much for that presentation. Then I'll go to Councillor Rice for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My first question is regard our city's integrated and investment intake and business retention and expansion and aftercare program. So I would like to know more about this program, how its current state, and what's the challenge? Is there any improvement we need to make?
Councillor Rice, this is a program that we're very dedicated to working with Edmonton business on to retain them and expand them within the city. And we work with businesses to understand what some of their challenges are, and then we look to remove those challenges. We also work very closely with Edmonton Global through this program. The aftercare program is if Edmonton Global has a business such as Air Products that's making an investment in our city. After Edmonton Global has worked with them through that process, they pass that business to us, and we make sure that the regulatory process is a very smooth one.
Yes, I understand their support and is already in place right now, and for the many business outside of the BIS. And specifically in attachment 2 and attachment 1, we have the inventory and we have the options. So my question is about, because right now this is provided by information only, and then I read reports specific say, and if council provides specific direction, and then the administration will move forward. Can you talk about a little bit more about what type of direction you expect and for this item specifically?
Councillor Rice, at this point, administration does not require any direction from City Council. I would say that we would look to City Council to help get the word out about business-friendly Edmonton and share that with your networks. That would be a request of individual councillors. My request would be that we continue to do the work under business-friendly Edmonton, and that through the economic action plan that we provide updates to where we might need more resources. But at this point, I think we've got the right resources in place and the right approach in place.
That's great. And then for the Edmonton-friendly environment and for the business, and then specific information for us to communicate out, and is already online or already shared with Councillor's office?
We'll follow up with your offices to make sure you have that information.
Okay, so the last question is about permit and licensing. And then we heard over and over, and then some like concerns regarding this point. And specifically, is there any specific improvement since last year and then to now? And in terms of timing, in terms of like the red tape cutting, and in terms of process efficiency?
Absolutely, Councillor Rice. We remain dedicated in the department and across the organization to cutting our red tape associated with permitting processes and making sure that we have red tape in the right places for public safety. So it's a both and. We have been looking at how we can automate permits. For example, we automated a number of permits, and the idea with automation is that we're able to take our staff and they could work on more complex projects, and so that's something that we will continue to do. The next major red tape effort that we will need council's support on will be the zoning bylaw renewal. And when we bring that forward, it will be a red tape exercise. It's also really a very strong policy exercise and towards alignment towards the city plan.
Is there specific news updates and from permit and license process, and then from MIMO or?
There are a number of things that we've had underway. For example, we've posted permit timelines. I can follow up offline with a long list and other
that'd be great.
Red tape reduction update to council via memo.
Okay, thank you very much. And then looking for that memo for that. I think there is no direction needed. I'm going to move this report received for the information. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Rice. Councillor Rutherford?
Yes, thank you. I might actually have 2 rounds, just putting that out there. I wanted to zone in on the GBA Plus and sort of that equity lens component of the reports and some of the attachments. I wanted to get a sense with, has there been any analysis done with grant applicants or who's been reaching out for support in terms of who is accessing and who is currently not accessing the resources available?
So we have information, limited information in terms of who is applying for our different supports and who is engaging with us. A deep dive analysis in terms of how this is working and is it effective for those particular groups, that's something that we still have work to do under Business Friendly Edmonton.
So that work is going to be a part of it. So you're going to build in frameworks to sort of know whose voices are you hearing from consistently, even in terms of taking up on, like, there's a lot of great items that we're providing, but are all businesses and equity seeking groups accessing them in the same way, and even geographic, right? Is there a disparity between certain areas of the city?
That's a question that we are asking ourselves as well. And under the Edmonton Economic Action Plan, we have specific actions that are looking at those areas intentionally and specifically, and that's work that is yet to be done under Business Friendly Edmonton. So you are correct.
So will we receive sort of the next time Business Friendly Edmonton report comes to council or committee, it will have more robust information on that?
Yes, Councillor Rutherford, we intend to report annually to Council on the Economic Action Plan and the actions that are underway, and you'll have more robust information, but it will be continuous improvement. in terms of we're absolutely dedicated to this work, but we don't have it all figured out yet, and we're looking forward to working with the community on this as well.
Well, data is perfectly imperfect, right? You'll never have complete data sets, and I think it's about making the best information with what we have. But if there are gaps, that we're addressing them, so that's great to hear. In attachment 3 or 2, sorry, options for support, attachment 2. One that I was curious about was the summer students could be used to door knock the city. Is that something because I know it's a receipt for information, but is that something that is going to happen, or you would need direction to do? And would that be something that could start this summer, or are we thinking for summer 2023?
So for all of the actions in attachment 2, the report that we've put together was for information. So that analysis in terms of what it would take to implement, that would be work that would be left for administration to do, and we'd be looking for direction to undertake those items.
Okay, so it's probably not realistic, though, to think that that could start for this summer.
Unfortunately not, Councillor Rutherford. Yeah. We couldn't launch that for this summer, but if it was...
That's what I anticipated, but I just wanted to get clarity on that. So there's no urgency today, potentially, but maybe something, can I connect with your team afterwards on some of that outreach pieces?
Absolutely.
For businesses?
Absolutely. And if I may, in development of this report, we did see the gap that we could do some more targeted engagements with a number of businesses in Edmonton to get that word out about business-friendly Edmonton, and we intend to do that through the next year.
Okay, fantastic. And my last sort of theme of questions is, we heard the value of and all echoed the sentiment of how important BIAs are. However, they are very geographically based, and many areas have businesses that would benefit from some structure similar, but don't have that base, like what was mentioned, like larger businesses that anchor those BIAs, for example. Has administration explored how we can create those kind of BIA-like networks that are not geographically bound?
Councillor Rutherford, we haven't at this point. That would be the idea of supporting businesses through a BIA liaison. We are very much focused right now on business-friendly Edmonton and getting the word out about that, and then understanding where the gaps are in business-friendly Edmonton and returning to council with further recommendations when we've learned a bit more.
Okay. Thank you.
I have more questions.
Yeah, no
sorry.
worries. We'll come back to you, Councillor Rutherford. I have some questions around and this is the issue we have discussed as well, Ms. McCabe, particularly from small businesses, racialized business owners, as well Indigenous business owners, their ability to kind of advocate on their behalf, right? And that they would benefit from a dedicated resource that could advocate on their behalf to the rest of the city through your area. So I want to get your thoughts on that.
That is the intention of Business Friendly Edmonton, is that they can advocate on behalf of a business throughout the city in order to reduce timelines associated with the permitting process and or to provide help with anything that the business needs help with.
So somebody can walk them through the process, hold hand for early stages, and then let them know what needs to be done?
Absolutely.
And there's a specific target toward racialized or equity-seeking groups?
We're working on that in terms of making sure we have targeted supports, or supports isn't the right word, targeted efforts in that area. It's definitely something that we're working to get more mature on in terms of our processes.
Okay, got it. The hiring of students, this may require a little bit more information on your end, helping council members, because the Canada Summer Jobs Program, I think there is some flexibility for actually council members to hire students through that program, working in collaboration with their MPs. right? So maybe if you could provide a little bit more, dig a little bit more deep into that and see if that is possible. I heard that they can, because that might be a resource that council members can use as well, right? Doesn't cost city anything, fully covered by the federal government, right? So maybe something to maybe do a little bit of research in.
Yeah, great idea, Mr. Mayor. We'll take that away and work with our colleagues in employee services and see if there's something we can tap into there.
Okay, good. All right. So that's all I had for questions, and I'll go to Councillor Wright next.
Hi, thank you. So, Ms. McCabe, so the Business Friendly Edmonton provides that mentorship to the small businesses? Or?
Yes, we provide mentorship to small businesses through our one-on-one support. So any business in Edmonton can contact Business Friendly Edmonton, whether it be through the website or through a phone number, and speak to a City of Edmonton employee that will listen to their needs, listen to their feedback, and work throughout administration to get answers to their business needs so that we can solve the issues that they're having as quickly as possible.
It's really a pathfinding service through the City of Edmonton.
Okay, so it's not something that we could ask the BIAs to help with mentorship?
Sorry, I may need to understand a little bit more about what you mean by mentorship. If you mean mentorship of a business in terms of how they scale their business, or programs about how they increase their revenue generation, there's other programs outside of the city that potentially help with that through the province and through the federal government, and we can help with wayfinding to those programs.
Pointing them in that direction.
Pointing them in the right direction. And we did that a lot through COVID in terms of sharing, and the BIAs did that as well, sharing out with businesses what supports were available at the municipal, provincial, and federal levels.
Okay, great. So that connection is wonderful for them. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Wright. Councillor Tang?
Oh, thank you. Hi, everyone. Sorry, I had to jump back in from a different meeting, so I apologize I missed the presentation portion. But yeah, I am very excited for, I think for this motion and the report that came out. So I apologize if this already been asked. Are we on first round, right? Yes. Okay. The one-on-one service, it was previously called Open Windows. Is that right?
That's correct.
Have you done any evaluation of the Open Windows?
I know that we've had like ongoing continuous improvement of a formal evaluation program. No, not at this point.
Okay. I was wondering if that transition made to kind of the one-on-one service was based on any of the learnings from that previous program?
We've expanded the service through continuous improvement and what we've heard from businesses, and the idea of bringing it all under the business-friendly umbrella to be able to help businesses that are at different stages and phases.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think the Open Windows is such a great idea, even, a long time ago when I heard about it, but I don't think many people knew about it. I mean, I think it was very, very limited capacity. So glad to see that service being expanded. I was, so I think I'm just curious about the district-based business liaison role. Do you see it kind of similar to, I know we spoke a little bit about this offline, but similar to the NRC role at the neighborhood level, but this will be kind of at the broader level and specific for businesses.
Potentially, but I don't have any details on that yet. My suggestion to council would be let us work through Business Friendly Edmonton over the next year. Let us come back to you with some analysis over gaps, what's working well, what's not working well, and then come back with some recommendations about perhaps how NRCs could leverage. We could leverage the NRCs perhaps in their existing networks, or another path to get to that outcome. There's, I believe, 26 NRCs in the city, so it would be a quite involved program if council wanted to go there, and I would like some time to provide some analysis on whether that would be a good approach for businesses or not.
Yeah, no, I'm not suggesting adding additional responsibility because I think the NRCs have their plates quite full. But I feel like this could be parallel to that, and I imagine lots of intersecting because local businesses are so intertwined with the local community. Um, and just wondering too, on the page around, because you do talk about what can be done within reallocation within existing resource and what can be done with additional resource. Can you just elaborate a little bit more about what's possible within reallocation of resource?
Yeah, Councillor, right now we're really focused on business-friendly Edmonton and all of the work under that umbrella. But what I do think we can do within our existing resources is be really thoughtful through business-friendly Edmonton in terms of our engagements over the next year, in terms of getting out to businesses where they're at, and getting out to businesses that perhaps are outside of BIAs to share the information in terms of the available grant programs, and share the approach that business-friendly Edmonton takes.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thank you. Yeah, I think that engagement piece is really critical to lay that foundation. Just in my own experience, when we do have great programs, a lot of the whether they're newcomer entrepreneurs or BIPOC entrepreneurs, they often don't really get that information that have the same kind of access that continues to kind of create that inequity. I guess the last piece, I'll say what because I've been reflecting a lot on this. What business owners are not necessarily voters in the ward. However, they operate, they contribute to the local community and are such part of the integral part of the constituency. What role do you see? How can we help as councillors representing those areas?
I think council can help in many ways. So first ask is to help get the word out about business-friendly Edmonton, and that administration is here to help with wayfinding, as well as help with pathfinding through the city and to help support businesses. I think council also has a role in terms of listening to the business voice and bringing it from an economic development perspective to tell us, are we missing voices at the table? Are there potential changes to some of our grant programs? In terms of what you're seeing on the street and what you're hearing when you're out working with constituent businesses.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Tang. Councillor Rutherford for second round.
Yes, thank you. I'm going to circle back to the GBA Plus because in rereading the section after your answers, I have a few other questions because it does say, one of the points does say that disaggregated demographic data is collected on the grant application process. But what I heard you say is that you don't have that data currently.
Councillor Rutherford, thank you for circling back on that. We have the data, but what we haven't done is a robust analysis on the data yet, and we intend on doing that. Okay,
perfect. Thank you so much for that. And then one of the other things that I wanted to hone in on was the on attachment 1, the temporary patio and retail extension program funded by existing resources. But I see that that's kind of increasing, and I know that that was kind of put in place during COVID, but we're kind of, looking at, how do we, is this something that is now an ongoing program? Is it still temporary? Do the resources that we have, has it been able to successfully be absorbed into current resources, or do we need to consider that?
Councillor Rutherford, it's Gord Sebrick. I think right now we've basically been working with the BIAs to try and get a better understanding of what they specifically need going forward. We're in the process of retooling what we have, and I think one of the key elements is aligning with some of the process that Ms. McCabe's team has put into place in terms of being more aligned in a business-friendly way. So that's underway. At this point, we don't think we need additional resources, but once we have a little bit more detail on what that looks like longer term, we may need to come back for some additional resources. But at this point, I think we're good with what we have.
Okay, and just to clarify though, that this program isn't just for BIAs, so we're connecting with the other businesses that maybe have used this program, correct?
Correct. It's I think initiated, in the BIAs, but certainly has grown in its popularity and is seeing benefit across the entire city.
Yeah, hence the jump by almost 50 applicants, right? So that's great to see. Perfect. Those are all my questions on this report. Thank you so much. Appreciate administration for this really comprehensive and informative report.
Thank you, Councillor Rutherford. Councillor Rice.
Last few questions regarding financial incentives. So in the report, we do talk about this intensive. And specifically, and we did the administration and did the comparison between the lower tax rate to the business and also the grants. And so I just want to say, and from small business perspective, and then reflect definition outlined in this report is 1 to 14 employees as a small business. And then also we have attachment 4 specifically, attachment 3 for the economic recovery grants insights. So for this business grants, is reflect already we are doing, or is a plan we are going to provide these grants, and compared to we are going to looking for option for the lower tax rate?
Councillor Rice, the Phase 2 Economic Action Plan grant isn't related to tax rates. It's related to be able to support businesses that are helping advance the Economic Action Plan. And the tie to tax rates there, maybe the tie to taxes is that if we're able to support our businesses, retain our businesses in Edmonton, then they pay their taxes and there's revenue associated with that for the city.
Okay, so because I have another motion already presented, I may touch base with you and offline and in terms of this. Another question is about brownfield sites. And so currently, the city make use of the brownfield grant program to support the redevelopment of brownfield sites. Can you describe that more detail?
Yes, our brownfield grant program has promoted redevelopment of qualified brownfield properties. It's actually been really successful in terms of areas where we've got contaminated soil, and because of that contaminated soil, development hasn't happened. So what happens is a developer is able to get a grant program to help cover some of their testing and remediation costs associated with it. And we've seen a number of developments in our downtown and in Old Strathcona as a result of this grant program.
Okay, that's great, thank you. So reduce the cost on permitting and the licensing. And then can you give more detail on that piece?
Reduce costs in terms of permitting and licensing. Yeah. We've been really working with industry on understanding and Edmontonians on understanding where there are issues in terms of permitting and licensing, and we've been working to be able to improve our processes so that we can make it easier for businesses to be able to do work here. As a result, we have been able to save significant dollars for both Edmontonians, businesses, and for city administration through that work.
Ms. Mayor, I know my time is out. I just have very quick follow-up, and then I'm going to put the motion on the floor as well.
You already did that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you already done that. So go ahead. You have an extra another question.
So specifically for my last question regarding the permit and the license reduced cost, and then city is trying to on the cost recovery basis. So this is a little bit confusing. I think this information needs to be clarified and our public can have better understanding for that.
Thank you, Councillor Rice. I understand now. How it works for permitting and licensing in the city is there's a planning and development business model. There is a policy associated with this, and whenever an Edmontonian and or a business applies for a permit, those dollars are directly allocated into the development services branch for processing of permits. And so the costs associated with permit fees are directly related to being able to get permits as well as process improvement permits out for businesses and Edmontonians.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Rice. So Councillor Rice had made the motion or moved the motion to receive this for information, right? Okay. Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Anyone to speak? I see none. Councillor Rice, you want to close this or go to vote?
Apologies.
Sorry, Councillor Rutherford, you're signing up, or Councillor Tang?
Sorry,
Councillor Tang, go ahead to speak.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, I'm very happy to see this work move forward and just the overall direction for business-friendly Edmonton. I've had lots of conversations with the business community and also with administration, and I am very keen to see the rollout of the overall plan and that engagement. I'm looking forward to be looped into some of those conversations and working together to support our businesses for economic development, but also community development. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tang. Councillor Rice, to close.
Thank you, Ms. Chair. And then supporting our local economy recovery by supporting our business is so important. And then thank you so much, administration, provide the report and with all the attachment and all the options and grant programs and then in place and for our business to have this sufficient support. And looking forward and for how we implement those strategies and also more community engagement, and then to get our business-friendly Edmonton and spread out and to the public to increase that public awareness. So I'm strongly support what we're doing and our city is doing for our business.
Thank you, Councillor Rice. Please vote.
We have all the votes.
Display the votes, please. The vote is carried. So that is item 6.15. Our next item is 6.16, petition to foster safe and activated environments.
And if I can just interrupt for a moment, we do have an additional request to speak, so we will need a motion to accept that speaker.
On this item?
On 616, yes, position to foster safe and activated environments.
616. Okay, who is that person?
That individual is Punita McBrien.
Come on, Punita. Do you really have to speak? Just kidding. Okay, please add Punita to the list of speakers. Please vote.
Mayor, was that you moving? Okay,
I'll
thank you.
make the motion.
We have all the votes.
Display the votes, please. All right, Punita has been added to the list. To be noted. Good. All right. Okay. Is there a brief presentation on this? Yeah.
Yes, we do have a presentation. Alyssa I need to slow down. Alyssa Laliberte, our branch manager of economic investment services, will give it. My apologies, Alyssa.
No problem, Stephanie. Thank you. Good morning, members of Executive Committee. The COVID-19 pandemic has significantly impacted the hospitality and entertainment industry. For that reason, today we explore establishing additional resources to collaborate with the business improvement areas, the business community, and event organizers with the goal to create safe and activated environments in the city's business and entertainment areas. Connect Edmonton and the city plan provide a vision for connected, accessible, diverse, and vibrant urban places where citizens and visitors feel included and supported. People should be able to work and visit in a safe, engaging, and attractive place. The hospitality and entertainment industry and business improvement area associations are proponents for the promotion of safe and activated environments for business, employees, and patrons. Edmonton's late-night economy is an important contributor to the city's culture, as well as to its vibrancy and attractiveness to both residents and visitors. The city is committed to ensuring that all sectors of our economy are treated with equity and have access to similar opportunities no matter what hours they're open. The city has provided and continues to provide many of the diverse supports for businesses facing challenges from COVID-19. The Economic Recovery Grant was created to support the immediate needs and recovery efforts for Edmonton's business community impacted by COVID-19 through various financial grants. 1,082 businesses accessed the $1,000 microgrants. City Council approved the deferral of the BIA tax levy payments. In 2021, 100% or $3.3 million of the levy disbursements was covered by the city, and in 2022, 50% or $1.8 million will be covered. In addition to these financial supports, the city assisted businesses with signage and marketing support to help provide resources and information about the changing health and safety regulations. The city supported the creation of the Support Local Shop Safe social media and digital marketing resources provided to businesses. A temporary patio program was created to allow for continuous operations that accommodated public health restrictions. In 2021, there were 161 applications, a 46% increase from the previous year. Applications for the 2022 patio program have begun and continue to be monitored. Administration continues to work with business leaders, BIAs, and other stakeholders in the local economy around a permanent patio program. Business-Friendly Edmonton is an initiative that includes services and programs that support all businesses regardless of size, sector, or industry. Service offerings include the one-on-one business support service, which provides regulatory guidance to businesses. Approximately 20% of clients come from the hospitality sector. This service is available during business hours and focuses on understanding the city's permitting and licensing process. Customizable community programming provides focused workshops on topics relevant to the hospitality industry, including patios, opening a brewery, and more. The temporary patio and retail space program allows eligible restaurants, bars, and cafes to apply for the summer patio program to create seasonal outdoor spaces from May to October. The summer patio program applies to temporary patios on public space. Application and occupancy fees are once again waived to support economic recovery from the pandemic.